Public Radio. This is Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu, the producer of Project Independence and You and host of Talk of the Town. And of course, Otto Los, our co-host, dear friend, volunteer, ambassador, you name it. So, hi, how are you guys today?
Hi, good morning, afternoon.
What are we from our past visit, which we can talk about.
I mean, Otto was referring to our first hour of our show with Gail and Mildred Kirschenbaum. It was such, I mean, I was belly laughing. You probably could hear me on it because I really couldn't stop laughing so hard because Mildred is 101, right? That's what she was, 100.
She will be.
She will be 101.
Yeah.
And just the story of them, I think it was so relatable and inspiring. You know, the fact that Mildred has a great sense of humor, which is always our kind of rule of thumb here, is to laugh. And clearly that's working for her because she looked fabulous also, I must say. And just the story of them, you know, and they're so honest and open about their relationship and their struggles. And I think anyone that really listened, you know, and if you did not listen, certainly go seek it out on our Project Independence website or, you know, catch us on North Hempstead TV or the WCWP YouTube page as well, because it was definitely something very, very relatable.
There was a humorous side to it, but there was also a very deep side to it.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
terms of forgiveness.
Yeah, it was a real message. And I think everyone could serve to take that kind of advice, you know, because I know a lot of people listen. I personally am someone who can like not hold a grudge to save my life. You know, it's certainly something that, you know, I don't, but I do believe in that. And, you know, because, you know, when she read that excerpt, you know, that tomorrow isn't promised, right? So you're going to have this and think about how wonderful it is that they, you know, later in life forge this amazing relationship. You know, they said their favorite people to go on vacation with is each other, you know, so it's just such a great communication message for everyone.
Yeah, there was a lot of good messages there. The mother-daughter.
The big message, there's several, but one of the big messages is she looked back at her mother's life and she visualized what her mother's life was back in 1923.
Yeah.
Her father attempted suicide several times. I read about it. Lost several businesses. People were coming back from World War One. The whole world was tight. You know, it was a major war, World War One, and we were in the middle of it. So she's born 3 years after it's over, and you know that was a tough time. And then on top of that, the depression kicks in, and her father had a lot of problems with that. And, you know, she had a tough childhood.
No, and I think that's also, you know, and we've certainly touched upon that, you know, in our conversations on this show is, you know, it's very easy to get frustrated and not understand why someone's behaving a certain way, you know, and it's, you know, so important to take a step back and say, listen, you don't know what that person's life story was, right? And especially there is something to say about different times that people grew up. You know, it was a different way to, you know, so you have to be a little easier on people, you know, and I try and keep mindful of that all the time because, you know, listen, we're all human. It's easy to be like, oh my God, they don't understand. And especially, you know, we always talk about younger and older people kind of communicating. And I think that is such an important thing to just take a step back, you know, and Gail really did that so well, you know, with her mother.
You know, it's true. I mean, we, you know, forgiveness and all that, but actually to have the onus on a 5-year-old girl to try to figure out why her mother is behaving a certain way is a lot.
Yeah,
so
of course.
The forgiveness part is huge on Gail and how she had to take care of herself because, you know, even though there is a lot of empathy for the mother, for Mildred,
it's complicated.
And she did, you know, she did acknowledge that she was really not.
But I think that's what's so special, you know, is when they shared that story recently, you know, about Yom Kippur and atonement and the fact that the mother did that, you know, because she needed to do that for herself, even though Gail had long forgiven her, you know, and it was just such a beautiful and inspiring message. And what we're also, you know, discussing is while we had them on the show, it's because Mildred wrote a book and it's called Mildred's Mindset, Wisdom from a Woman Centenarian. A lot of great tips and it was just such a wonderful, wonderful interview. it was just
Yeah,
another
it was nice to
inspiring
have
one.
a mother-daughter
Mhm.
duo and that they're so connected and in the aging world and talked a lot about things that are important to, aging a place safely, having
Yeah,
that kind
right.
of
Great. There was a lot of golden nuggets on top of everything. Yeah.
how she stays connected even though she's not
Mhm.
even in the same state, and they were able to set up the home so they were able to video, make it more of a smart home, and how
Mhm.
they figured out if you fall, how can you get up, because
Right.
sometimes
Yeah.
you do fall and you're okay but you can't get up. So
Mhm.
they have everything kind of set up, and she's in a gated
Well,
community.
that-
So it's a very ideal
That was
situation.
one of the 20 things in her book was planning for falling.
Right.
Mhm.
You know,
No, because it goes back to,
so-
listen, we're always preaching on
something
the
I
show
never thought
planning.
about.
No, but that's such an important, thing. And that's something I remember we actually had to do with my grandpa when he was alive, because he had neuropathy. And when my grandpa would fall, he was always falling. And it was like literally like dead weight trying to like lift him when we would get there, So, and
I
we,
had it with my mother.
yeah, it was
I know how
so hard because he could, but then we were like, all right, we actually had to sit there and like plan it out. Like, all right, if he falls here, if we have a grab bar kind of here, and then as he got older, like getting out of bed, like we're like, all right, place where your hand is, so you really need to plan it out because it saves. So, I mean, it could be life or death, half
and
the
also
time.
do preventative planning
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Get rid of
absolutely.
throw
Yeah,
rugs
right.
and lamps that have
Mhm.
cords and reasons that
Yeah.
you would have to stand on a step to
Yeah.
get something off a top
No, because you know what it
shelf.
is too, and I'm such a firm believer in, right, there's a lot that we can't control in life,
There was
but there's a lot we can, and those kind of things are things that
There
we
was
certainly
one
can
point in
control.
there that I have had the experience, not that it wasn't that I fell, but putting something under your knees
Mhm,
to get up.
mhm.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you put knee down on cement, you
Hurts.
you
Yeah.
realize that it's hard to
Yeah.
do. So if you have stuff in a room that maybe you can reach,
Mhm,
so you can kneel on it,
mhm.
Right.
it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It really does.
They actually also make lifts. We have one, my mother has one in her place,
Mhm.
because if she's alone and I'm not
Mhm.
reachable, and it kind of goes right down to the floor and you inch yourself backward onto it. It's
Mhm,
very
mhm.
flat. And then there's a seat and you have to buckle yourself in, and it just super slowly stands
Mhm.
you up.
Never
So,
heard of it.
yeah, it's great. We got
Hmm.
it off of, Amazon, because
Hmm.
they have everything.
See, that
When in
works
doubt.
with main level living.
Yes.
Yeah. Wouldn't work if it's 2 floors.
2 floors, yeah, but
You have to have 2 of them.
right, that's right.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
Well,
but I
she's a
think,
main
yeah,
level liver.
but I
Yeah.
think that's all part of it, right? That's all part of like
But she
how you
also
should
uses a
plan.
medical alert, or
Mhm.
whatever the
Right.
term is. And I know a lot of people, and looking back, my mother had one, but she didn't always wear it.
No. Oh, well, that's half the battle, of
Yeah.
course. Because
Well, it's
somehow
like
my
having a
grandpa's
cell
was always
phone.
wet, and we were like never sure what was going on with
It's
the
like
thing.
people have a cell phone, they don't turn it
Yeah,
on.
right. Yes, that's one of our favorite things that always happen at Project and Pens. Like, we have a cell phone, but like I don't turn it on. It's like, but we're asking for an emergency. How do we get contacted? Yeah.
But I don't love that she had to go through it, but with, her birth year
Oh,
and
no, so
showing up as a baby.
but
That's
what
so
and it's such a relatable thing
unbelievable.
because I Project Independent surveys, when they come in, I have since the beginning an ongoing Excel spreadsheet of all the surveys that came in, and people fill out, and this is how we just gauge things and get some data. And when I'm typing in the year, it will or like autocorrect. So when I type in a 23 or something, it'll be 2023, and that I have to like be mindful of checking that. So that's something that always clicks into, but I never thought about the real ramifications of that, traveling. I mean,
Right.
you would think it seems so simple, like of a correction, but apparently, who knows? And maybe Mildred will change it, as Otto said, for when Otto hits that age.
Well,
that
Mildred
it'll
loves
fixed.
cruising, so she's just
Yeah.
going to cruise
I
back.
really- I like
regardless.
that was-
I
that
think
was her
I don't know
reasoning.
if that was her excuse, but to cruise more. But
I
I'll
like
give
that, I'm
that to her
cruising
for
back.
sure.
Just great, just
Well,
so
I mean, and
wonderful.
like I said, she's willing to take advantage of what can help her.
Yeah.
Other people fight it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to use a walker. Okay. Don't
No,
go
you
anywhere.
made such a
Right.
good point though, Ada. Like, and I do that because like as you said that to her, I really know people in my own life, that just throw in the towel and don't do things because they don't want to be seen as but then you're missing out on so many wonderful things that you still could be doing. So it was just Great tips. And
Yeah.
another inspiring guest. I mean, we're on
I
a
know.
roll, guys.
And
With really great
yes,
these
we
guests
really
that are
are.
so inspiring. It's a way to kick off Friday mornings.
We went to Legoland up in Goshen, New
Oh,
York
see?
with our grandsons. And Bunny, in this case, just gotten done with the knee bit.
Mhm.
And we rented a scooter, and it was great. She went all over Legoland with a
Mm,
scooter.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
you know,
right.
why not?
Because you still, and especially when you have, grandkids and your kids and you want to be a part of things, it's so nice that there are, and take advantage of them. So this way
Yeah.
you can still be a part of the family kind of activities that go on. So great segment. Great job, guys. You were fabulous as always.
Great guests. And, we do have to mention that Gail, the daughter, was one of our keynote speakers at one of our Aging in Place in Suburbia
Yeah.
conferences, probably 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
because I
Oh,
had
really?
her on the
Yeah.
radio like a bazillion years ago is
Right.
when she first, and I forgot how it might have been even when Ev was still hosting.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I had her on, and so since then I've been part of her newsletter. And then I saw this come across, about her mom. I was, this is just an all-star segment. And it was just great. It was just another, it makes you feel good. I
Yeah.
walked away feeling very, very good.
Well, she
from
has a
it.
website, the Ethel,
Mhm.
that I went on, and it was very good. Is that the one you get the newsletter from? Do you know?
I don't, it goes straight to my,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get her.
yeah.
I get her email too, the newsletter.
But just really, really, really good stuff. So if you did not listen and you want some inspiration and some laughs along the way, because that's the best way to learn, right? I mean, I think we pretty much suggested that. But please check it out at the Project Independence website or the WCWP YouTube page, and of course on North Hempstead TV, because then you can see the visual and really get the essence of it, and see me hysterically laughing probably in the background because she just was unfiltered.
Very
and I liked it.
entertaining.
Yes.
Yes.
But really, really great. And then next week we have another great segment because I cannot believe I'm saying this, but we are in May, which I don't know how that happened. It just all of a sudden we're in May. And Rhonda Schwartz is the regional administrator for the Administration for Community Living. She will be on because May is Older American Month, and this year's theme is Powered by Connection. So she will be coming on to talk all about that and how to get involved for that. So please tune into that. And we hopefully, all of our 60 plus listeners in the town of North Hempstead received their copy of the Pioneer newsletter in the mail. I know Otto did. And I really appreciate Otto because I was on vacation. And of course, these are things that I worry about in the back of my head did the Pioneer hit home? And Otto texted me and said,
I got an
it."
interesting story about that. All
Oh,
right.
sure.
My grandson Daniel
Mhm.
moved to an apartment in Roslyn,
Mhm.
right by the Jolly Fisherman,
Okay.
where it
Okay.
used to be
Yeah.
the Jolly Fisherman. And the first piece of mail he received, and he sent me a video flipping the pages, was the newsletter.
Oh,
Really?
wow. And
When
he's
he
like,
moved
what
in.
is my grandpa doing in this newsletter?
Yeah, he was shocked. So we sent it to the whole family.
I love it. That's right. I love it's like spot Otto, in the town. But the Pioneer is it's so jam-packed with really, really great information. And I like that it can be used as a real practical tool. Of course, we said there's great bullets and golden nuggets in it. There's an article about Older Americans Month. Of course, there is a article from Sound Suggestions from Otto Los. And it's a really good one about tips to achieve a healthy adult, child, and parent relationship during the aging chapter of life. And he goes through both sides, which I think, Otto, you nailed it. Kudos to you on that.
You know, that since I wrote that article, and people didn't know about the article, but that topic has come up with probably 3 or 4 different people.
Mhm.
And most of the time, I hear the younger adult child's version of it. And most of the time, it's because the senior adult is more stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that could be true.
Yeah.
All right. So that's why you really have to look at it from both sides.
No, and that's why I love you. And this is why, what would be a show back? We didn't toot Otto's horn. You know what I mean? But I love that you do. You have enough mindfulness about, looking at it from both sides. And I think you gave really great concrete questions and different tips
Very
to bring it up.
thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm sorry to kind of
Yeah.
go off the topic a little bit, but you had said a word, and I was thinking a lot about this when we had our guest on earlier. You mentioned kind of how she's unfiltered. And Otto, I like, it's such an interesting thing as you get older. It seems that people aren't as filtered. They're not as like careful not to insult someone. Do you think that's true, or do you think it's just kind of who you are, saying what you want to say? Because they do, that's another word. I think it's almost like a stigma a little bit, oh, she's older, she has no filter.
Yeah.
Or is it just like
honesty?
not because sometimes it could come across as, oh, she said
Like,
that,
right.
or insulting. But is it as we get older, we lose our filter, or we just want to say?
I don't think you lose your filter. I think my opinion is you get to think clearer about some things because you don't have pressure of work and kids or whatever.
Losing your job for saying something wrong.
You're really able to think clearer. When you say unfiltered, I mean, that would mean you're allowed to say anything you want about anybody. That don't work in my book.
Right.
I
mean, on a lower scale, the filter that.
Yeah, I mean, it filtered on like politics. I don't get into deep politics. All right, it's too divisive, and I have an opinion, but it's my opinion. You don't have to have my opinion. Maybe I don't understand your opinion, but I have an opinion, but you don't have to have my opinion. And that's true about a lot of topics. I think the unfiltered part maybe comes in a little more about society in general.
Personal relationships, I think.
Yeah, just like an honesty, It's like, and I think, when you're younger, and I think it's also, you kind of, listen, as we age, you certainly come into your own, each kind of, chapter of your life, you get a little more secure, hopefully, is like the goal, in your own skin and your own like thoughts. So I think, when you hit 101, you're like, listen,
like, get to the point. Like, I'm not painting a picture anymore. Here's the facts.
This is what went down.
This is it.
Here's the story,
Right.
I mean,
well, actually, we're at our first break, which I can't believe. So after this break, Kristina, Otto, and I will continue talking about what's going on in the town of North Hempstead. You're listening to Project Independence in You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence in You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. Let's talk more about the town, Kristina. Let's hear the unfiltered, what's happening in the town of North Hempstead. We were just reviewing Otto's article in the Pioneer newsletter, and started talking a little bit about filters and unfilters. And there's so many different ways to look at it. We don't have the time to paint pictures. Let's just get right to the point, and I think, like we talked a little bit during break, as you get older, it's almost like you have the confidence. This is what I want to say. I'm not painting the picture. Let's just get there. So,
well, I think one of the things you said, as you get older, you have less tolerance for a lot of fluff. Let's get to the point.
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, like,
And
kind
I've
of feel
always,
that way now, but
but I've always been like that.
yeah, I know. I feel like I'm
Looking
like, all
back.
right, that's why we like bullets and lists, Otto.
I-
We're like,
That's
let's
why,
get
like
to the
some books, I have a problem.
Yes,
If you're
right.
gonna spend 20 minutes telling me how blue the sky is and whatnot, before we get to the point,
yes,
I'm not gonna read the book.
yeah,
I'll
I
be
know.
blunt about it, you know?
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's just it's all
Just
very
getting-
interesting stuff.
Point A to point B quick.
Yeah,
with
that's
straight
right.
line.
That's right.
Just
Let's
get
just
right there and let's
Get right to the
let's
point.
move
I know.
on.
Well, the running joke in my family, conversations, because I'm like my mom in this way. It's, if someone's telling a story, because some of our family members, and I won't name names, can, can,
Wait,
the
voice
the
from
extended,
where?
Is
family
it a
members.
boy or a girl?
It's a woman.
Sounds
her
like.
stories certainly go on for some time. And my mom is the worst person to do that too, because Barbara's like, tell me,
Come on.
so you have
To
to
the
like
point.
give her the end of the story and then you can tell her all the details. But especially if it's something bad for you, Barbara's like, jump to the point. So, the first thing you gotta say to my mom is, everything's okay, and then you
Yeah.
could just like get to the details. But a lot of my family, it'll just go on and on and on. And you're like, just tell me what's going on.
Well, in my world, my business world, all right, sales, I used to teach sales. And one of the things would be when somebody asks you the time, tell them the time.
Yeah, right.
Don't tell them that this watch came from wherever and it was built by whatever and it's in a purple box. They don't want to know that. They want to know the time.
I feel that, but it's all right. It's all part of life. But back to our pioneer, as I had mentioned, what I really like about this month's Older Americans Month theme is the Powered by Connection is really stressing the importance of socialization and how that really affects your mental health and your health in general, really. So there's, I think that that's something is so important. And we all realize that a little, even more, I think, during COVID about how, not having that socialization really impacted people of all ages, not even just seniors. So I love that there's a really great focus on this. And in the Pioneer, I tried to find different ways to showcase how to socialize. Certainly in Project Independence, I mean, we have so many social groups and they keep growing. And we have on a little sidebar, a great program that just started over at Homestead, and it's called Puzzle Time. And it's just a fun group. And each week they come and they get to put together puzzles. And it's on this really cool mat that you just kind of roll up. So then, each week you unroll it and you're able to, continue doing that, because I think there is something to be said about just having some fun. We talk about our Blankets of Love group and, they're of course making these stunning blankets and donating them to these. I mean, and side note, over 100 since the beginning of the year they've made, which is like just mind blowing to me. But, that, on top of doing these things, like they're socializing. You walk past that room, they're talking about their grandkids, they're sharing recipes, just talking about life. And that's something that also with our exercise program that really came out, everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to exercise, to get my physical health and it feels good, but the socialization component of it became such a huge thing, and people missed it so much, during COVID. So I think that whatever your thing kind of is, you really can incorporate that and get that same kind of benefit.
Off the track somewhat,
Yeah.
but COVID caused a lot of socializing in all age brackets to go away.
Yeah.
I know young people who, young ladies in this particular case, who worked in an office and now all of a sudden they're 28 years old and they're working in their house looking at a computer all day. Now, at that age, that's not the kind of socializing I think you should have, So I think that COVID period changed a lot of socializing in a lot of age brackets.
Yeah.
Some of it for the positive, the fact that we're able to do things on Zoom. Like Mildred was a classic example of emailing and text messages and sending her daughters videos at the age of 100.
Yeah, I know.
And
the game,
that's a form of
and
socializing.
and those games that she plays so many games, and a lot of these things are, really stimulate your brain. It's all kinds of word games and number games, and And I think that there is something to be said about these computer games. I come from a family, my brother is like obsessed with, gaming. And my mom's like the queen of a cell phone game, which I could see like on the phone, like, Barbara's playing, this game. But it helps with her own anxiety too, so I think that, a lot of these things can be used in a beneficial way, obviously not to excess. We want people to still get out there if you can and mingle with people. But I do think that it is nice that we do have those options, and especially for a person like Mildred, who is 100, lives alone, doesn't live near her daughter, but you're still able to have that connectivity, which I think is really, really great. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. You just got to find what fits for you. And certainly in Project Independence. Also in our Pioneer, we have 6 great reasons to spend more time with others. And that's a really great article about the benefits. I have some healthy living tips, get set for a healthy summer. Of course, about our radio show. And then we just have a lot of great programs. And speaking of connected, I showcase how to stay connected with Facebook. And it was a really great article because it gives you some concrete information and also tips about privacy and safety, and just kind of like do's and don'ts, because I know a lot of older people can get on and it just, it's like a foreign, entity, and you could be sharing all kinds of crazy things on there. But I do think that and I've mentioned this before on the show, Facebook's a great place too if there's a particular interest you have. There's so many different groups you could be a part of that you're able to share information. And, my mom grew up in Massapequa, and she doesn't have a Facebook, but she like uses mine a lot of times. And she's like, oh, can I sign, like the, Massapequa back in, the 50s or something, whatever it was. And it's just like a fun little kind of nostalgic thing, and share recipes. I mean, I'm part of all these different restaurant groups and stuff. And of course, my little Boston Terrier photography groups. So
Oh, there's a photography?
it's the cutest.
Really?
Yes. And I have to say that my boy is quite popular on it because he does know how to find his
Blue
camera.
eyes.
That would be Mr. Easy.
Yes.
With the blue
Mr.
eyes.
Easy. My grandpa would have loved him because somehow he really knows that phone comes out and he knows it's time to pose.
Well, now is eye coloring,
Yeah, his
is-
blue eyes. Yes.
is that unique?
Yes. Yeah. Because he's a blue merle. So
Oh.
that's
Okay.
his whole
Yeah.
it makes him extra special. But those eyes, and he knows how to use those eyes to his advantage as well.
And
But
I hear that he's quite the traveler.
oh yes, on a side note, I just got back from a road trip down south with my husband and our dog. We were supposed to do this trip before we had a dog, and then COVID hit, so we halted. And the ultimate goal was to get to Nashville, Tennessee. So we like kind of revamped it, but it was so lovely. And I'm such a firm believer, right? As soon as this weather gets nice, I'm like, get outside, go for a walk. I'm also easily impressed by everything at all times. You show me a mountain, a waterfall, I'm like in my glory, at all. And it was just a beautiful drive. We stopped in Virginia. We went to Shenandoah National Park. In the United States, it just reminds you, it's so beautiful. There's really just so many beautiful things to see.
Yeah, once you get off the highway.
It was, well, that's what, we were laughing
Yeah.
because it was just so scenic, everything. Cause she's like, oh, imagine going to work and just seeing mountains and stuff. Then we get to New York City and we're like stuck in traffic. I was like, oh my God, take me back.
Mountains of traffic.
But it was just beautiful. And then we went to Asheville, North Carolina, and the Smoky Mountains. And then we were in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And there's just cute little like national forest we went to, and we went to Nashville, and then headed back. And it was
You went to bars?
we went to restaurants.
Oh, okay.
And you brought Mr. Easy with you, I heard.
Yes, he did not leave our side. He was enjoying it. My dog is just like a people watcher too. So Easy will sit there and just watch people forever. I mean, like when I have time, I'm like running late to things because he just like wants to like stare at the neighbors, stare at the birds.
So you went on a vacation, you drove, you took your dog. So you went to a lot of pet friendly places.
Well, so that's what, I really like had to play. And there's, speaking of technology, There's a great app and it's called Bring Fido. And you're able to type in, and there's different categories. So hotel accommodations, restaurants, different places and parks and stuff that he's allowed to go to. So, obviously, you had to do a little more planning. It wasn't as, my husband and I used to like just kind of doing whatever. But it was fun. It was really, and it was just beautiful to be outside and to see just these amazing things, because there really is some beautiful stuff out there, and it's just
it's beautiful
it was fun. And of
country.
course, on top of that, Kristina also loves any kind of shop or gift shop. So, we left, my mom says, before we went to a place, we would buy a souvenir, so that's like the running joke. Cause I'm like, Jay, I know I'm going to love it. Let me just get some stuff right now, but it was a great, well-needed vacation, and it was just it was lovely. So I recommend people, and you don't have to go too far, right?
We missed you in the office.
Yeah,
It was a long
I know. I
time.
was like, this week I was like, I had to really get back into the groove. But I think, obviously I know, listen, my husband and I are young and we're able to travel, we're fortunate, but
That's the time to do
yeah,
it.
but I do think that there are, even where we live here, I say this all the time, we're fortunate to like live, just even if you go like out east, there's some like really nice things and you get a little change of scenery. And Otto is a proponent of walking and getting out
Well,
there.
Jones Beach is a beautiful
Right.
beach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Look at
among
North
the
Hempstead
best
Beach
in the
Park. I
country.
mean, just in North Hempstead alone, these stunning parks. I mean, Clark Botanic Garden. And then in each little town that you go to, there's I mean, when we had the parks department on, there was some crazy amount of parks in North Hempstead. So each community has its own like little hidden gem. Look at Camera Park. I mean,
Right.
when we went the first time, we were like, "What?
This is
Where
here.
is this hidden gem?"
And they have a walking path too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right,
there's really cool stuff.
When I drive here,
Mhm.
I go north on
Yeah.
Post Avenue from Jericho. I go up Post,
Mhm.
and I don't even know the name. If it changes to something
Mhm.
else, then you end up Whitley
Yeah,
Lane.
yeah, it gives you a
and
little
it's like being
scenic
in the
drive.
mountains
That's
somewhere.
right. See,
It's beautiful.
Otto pretends he's on like a little
No,
scenic
I mean,
byway.
really, I mean,
Yeah.
I go that way intentionally.
Yeah,
Waze is
me
telling me
too.
to go on the Northern State.
I do the same thing.
28 seconds faster that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like, also that I think came out of COVID, was this appreciation for like kind of just being in nature. And especially, where when the weather gets warmer, it's a lot easier, obviously, to take advantage of these things, and things are blooming and just walking around. It's
But
a
that's
lovely
part
thing.
of the mindset. All right. A lot of people walk by these things.
Smell
and
the
they don't
roses.
Yeah.
They don't see them.
I tell you,
You
what stuck with me since I was a little tiny girl was my grandfather, obviously mentioned, was a photographer, and his crew were all part of this art world. And one of his best friends, Tom Cordes, had he was a designer. He actually designed the Dove logo, side note.
Oh, wow.
But
That's
he
impressive.
was such a cool guy, and I remember just thinking, he was always funky. He had this really cool mustache. I remember like when I was a little girl, I thought he was just like, I was blown away by him. And he always said, that in New York City, he said, everyone's walking, looking down, right? And this is before cell phones. And he's like, you need to look up. Like, look up. And I remember like as a little girl, I was like, this guy, I'm holding this, right? I'm taking this, like, and I think about it all the time.
But you do have to look down a little
Right.
bit.
Right. We don't want people to trip. Exactly.
Right.
Be careful. You don't want to be totally in the clouds.
Now,
But it was
here's
just,
one for history books. All
Mhm.
right. Years ago, if you didn't look down, there was no such thing as worrying about dogs
Mhm.
thumping on the sidewalk. All
Mhm.
right. There'd be mountains of it all over
Yeah.
the place. It was disgusting. And you think back and you wonder, how did that not,
different
how
times.
did we
my
not
friend.
understand that?
You know what?
know?
Different times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really encourage people to get out there and check out, certainly your local park or whatever it might be. You don't have to go too far to experience some like little piece, right? You feel better. And it's nice. And there's a lot of great programs that are outdoors going on in North Hempstead too. So, but the Pioneer newsletter, back to that. If you are 60 and over in the town of North Hempstead and you did not receive your copy that looks just like this, if you are watching us on North Hempstead TV, please call 311 or 516-869-6311 because you'll be connected to me. I'll make sure you're on the list. And if you are not on the list, I will.
Does that go to organizations?
No. So the hard copy of it, only goes to, our list because you have to pay for this list.
It wouldn't go to people like within Northwell or
No,
St.
no, it only,
Francis.
unless somehow it's, they're registered, but it got sent to over 63,000 households, and that's households. So, there's
Right.
multiple people in those.
A thought,
Mhm.
right? What about it? Is there a way of building a special list?
So
of people
unfortunately,
within
it costs a lot of money, right?
organizations?
So we have an electronic PDF version of it. So that version I attach to our e-newsletter, and I mail out to our list that has all these kind of organizations on it, obviously, because, it is a very expensive, lovely endeavor that the North Hempstead does, because it's in color and it's 8 pages.
Yeah, no, it's not
Yeah.
inexpensive.
So, you have to have kind of a gear thing. But listen, we have extra copies too. So if
But
there
you
is
can
some,
get it via email.
absolutely, by email, and I have them always posted and archived. Every issue is archived on our Project Independence website too. So you could always look back at that as well. But if you are 60 or over and not receiving it, we want to make sure that you are. So please call 311 because it's a great thing. And on that same vein, we have our e-newsletter, which I mentioned, and that anybody can receive. So you can also call 311. I think we have, what do we have? I wrote my countdown. There's there's 5,273 email addresses on that list now, which is really
Unbelievable.
exciting. Yeah, because I remember when there was like 10,
And I was number 10. Right.
And it was all different versions of
I was
Rebecca's
11.
email. No.
You were 11, Otto, 10.
And
And
it's
if
great.
people don't have access to email or
Right.
a printer,
I mail it out to you.
you mail it
I
out to
have
them, right?
another, listen, we're always just trying to spread the information. There's so many great programs, not just through Project Independence, but just, the whole town as well. So I want as many people as possible to get the e-newsletter. So I have a good, I think I send to about like 20 people every month, ask for a hard copy of it. So I mail it to them, and it's just call 311-516-869-6311.
We're going to take a quick break. After break, Kristina, Otto, and I will continue talking about what's going on in the town of North Hempstead. You're listening to Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town on LIU Public Radio. Let's talk more about what's going on in North
my God,
Hempstead.
I think
So
we're
much
gonna need
stuff.
a bigger table because if anyone could see what's going on
I
here.
know
There's a lot. I'm trying to make piles of organization in this. But what's really exciting, and especially for us who have our office at Clinton G. Martin Park, is that the Long Island Growers Farmers Market will be coming to the Clinton G. Martin Park parking lot.
so excited about this.
We're
So
really
excited.
Clinton Martin?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful little flyer. It's every Friday beginning June 7th. So mark it down in your calendars from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. There'll be local bakers, which you had me at local bakers. Fresh fruit, vegetables, and more. I just think it's really great that this will be
It's
there.
wonderful.
I think it's going to be so lovely.
What are the hours?
So
It's
7 a.m. to
7
1 p.m.
to 1 p.m. Okay. I was saying to Paula, between the farmers market and Target, I'll never have to shop
I
at home
mean,
again.
really,
I
that's
can
what
get
I
all my
said.
shopping
Target
done
there
during the
now.
day.
I said, you
know.
give me the eyebrow.
My glory.
Yeah. Macy's backstage.
Eyebrow.
My
I mean,
produce.
yeah.
You know, we're not paid for commercials, but I do go to that particular one.
Yeah.
They have some really good
I
stuff.
love it.
Yeah.
I'm the queen of going, and that's right. We're not, we're not
Takeout.
sponsored. I love it. They have a great lunch and I get, they're just, everything is great about Eyebrow.
They
I
got some
really
good
love-
stuff.
Yeah,
They
there,
have
I love
good
it.
stuff.
And
And it's
Target
nice.
has added to that complex.
Target,
Yeah,
definitely.
We got a lot of good stuff in the, we're very fortunate too. It's one of them. There's a lot of traffic, but then we have a lot of great things we could do as well. The Asian American Festival is coming up Saturday, May 18th, 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yes,
I
it is.
believe it is sponsored by Northwell.
Well, I
Is
think
that-
there's a lot of sponsors to Walk Lighting and some others. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah, a bunch
nicely
of great-
sponsored program. Just hope it doesn't
I know.
rain.
I didn't
If
want to
it
even
rains,
say it because I know there's been a bad track record.
It'll be the third year in
with
a
it.
row. And
So
I
fingers
was
crossed.
looking at the weather the other day and it does look like rain, but hey, we did have our Spring Fest on last
Oh, that's
Saturday.
right. I
The
was
Spring
away. That's
Festival at Clark
right.
Botanic Garden, and it was lovely. It was a very long day, but we had some wonderful entertainers. It's such a real like young family event.
mhm.
It's all young families and they have great entertainers.
Oh, that's
Tim
so cute.
Kubart and the Space Cadets, and
Yeah.
we had a DJ. It was really nice.
Oh,
A lot of
great.
stuff going on at the
Well,
park.
fingers crossed that this will be a nice, beautiful day, because there's a great performances and a lively market and different crafts and shopping, and it's really a whole variety of Asian countries that participate in this.
Yes.
So
Different kinds of food.
yes,
Yes.
food of, I mean, that's right.
Mm.
Food and shopping.
Food, music, entertain, it's
All the good stuff
different.
in
How
life.
can you go wrong?
Yeah, that's right. All
On a
the
beach.
perks. So it's Saturday, May 18th, 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at North Hempstead Beach Park, which is right in Port Washington. So definitely mark that down. And I cannot believe we're like, it sounds crazy
Memorial
to be
Day?
talking. I felt weird to even say Memorial Day, because I'm like, how is this Memorial Day? Like, we're not even close, but we are quite close. And I must say that my brother, the day after this, turns 30, which is, crazy.
Now, you've
That
been in
is
preparation
crazy.
for that for the last year.
I know, my little brother, my baby, is turning 30. Just crazy.
Where's
stuff.
the bash? I can only
Well,
imagine.
he's not quite like his sister. He doesn't
No,
want like
huh?
a whole hoopla. He just wants the gifts.
Yeah.
Is more his thing. So he said, like, I rather just, and James has quite an extensive list and very expensive taste in his items of stuff that
So
he
what
wants.
is the gift that you're going? Oh, you can't
Well,
tell.
my brother, being my brother, which is great because he's loves fashion and clothing, which is clearly like his sister. So he wanted a whole new wardrobe essentially for his 30th birthday. So I got him some clothes and shoes, and then some other little stuff I got him. But we are all, a couple of us are going to go to a restaurant and stuff. So yeah, he didn't want a big thing,
didn't
which
want
is
a
just
bash,
shocking.
huh?
But his fiance, on the other hand, loves to celebrate her birthday like me. So, she's a couple of days later. So then we just get to keep the celebration going. It's all tied in. But enough about us. Memorial Day, the commemoration and fireworks extravaganza. It's the 40th anniversary that the town's been doing this. It is going to be Saturday, May 25th at 6:30 p.m. over at North Hempstead Beach Park. The parking fee is $10 per car, cash only. Shuttle bus is available. I remember when I was a little girl and we would go, you really need to take the shuttle bus because a lot of time, it fills up very fast. So you either need to get there really early or, partake
There's
in the
only
shuttle.
one road in and
That's
one
right.
road
Road in,
out.
one road
That's
out.
right.
That's right.
There are free parking passes are available for veterans and active duty military if you call 311. So I just want everyone to be aware of that. Gates open at 3 p.m. Food trucks will be available. No food deliveries or walk-ins allowed.
You just raised the question. Is that free parking good for the whole season or just for events
This
like
is
that?
for an event.
For
Yes.
veterans.
Yes, I believe, I'm not sure if there's free. I know it's definitely for these certain events. That is the case. But I do not, don't quote me if that's the case.
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
not
part,
sure,
yeah.
but that's a great question.
Yeah.
The
call
other thing is, I
311.
know that you have to get there, the free passes before 8 o'clock. So even if you have the VIP parking, if you get there, I think
Oh.
it's after 8 o'clock.
You might know
something
something
like
that's not
that.
on the flyer.
Yeah,
You might
yeah,
have a hot
so-
take.
But definitely, if you are a veteran, please call 311 because
Mhm.
that's how you get the parking pass.
Mhm.
It's the only way.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great news. For any of our younger listeners out there, they're really looking, North Hempstead is looking for lifeguards. Because now we're talking about pool. Like, it's like, just one thing leads to another.
Mhm.
Like, I can't believe we're talking pool. I feel like that just happened. But the town is hosting a lifeguard job fair at Manor Haven Beach Pool and Park. Friday, May 17th, 3 to 6, Friday, May 24th, 3 to 6, and Friday, May 31st, 3 to 6. You could stop by there. You bring, and they'll give you a little blurb about what, is entitled. Lifeguards start at $18 an hour. And there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to bring there, but please call 311 or 516-869-6311.
Right. So if you're
ahead.
listening and your grandchild needs a job for this summer, please have them
Yeah, that's
call.
right. Spread the word.
That's a problem in a lot of places, getting lifeguards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Years ago, it
Just-
was a thing, oh, you're going to be a lifeguard.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
It's changed. some.
If you are listening to us live, which it is May 10th, tomorrow, Saturday, May 11th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., the town is hosting a free rabies clinic for dogs, cats, and ferrets. Which always makes me laugh because I think of our fabulous John Ryan, who used to laugh every time I said for dogs, cats, and ferrets. He thought that was hilarious. But it's at the Town of North Hempstead Animal Shelter. And it's really great that this is a free service because, it can be quite costly, these things. So once again, if you're listening to us live, Saturday, May 11th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., bring your furry friend and get your rabies shot. It's so important.
Have you ever had a small lizard enter your house?
Oh my gosh, no. But I did have a frog come out of our toilet in
We
Greenbelt.
did.
Crazy. Yeah.
I'm looking for tips.
Interesting.
Mm,
How big? How big are we talking?
small.
Oh, small.
Yeah.
A little lizard just came in.
I just got a humane trap on Amazon.
Hmm.
A
Plus the-
lizard humane trap.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, for mice and
Are they
I'm telling you,
fast?
Amazon has everything.
It
has
Beck's like, it really
It's
goes
just
fast.
everything. You can do
It
anything.
really goes.
apparently they like lizard berries and apples.
Oh, that's
So
so
I gotta
cute.
put a
Sounds like my
piece
dog. Wow, very interesting.
Well,
You'll
I'll
have
keep
to
you
keep
posted. We
yes,
haven't seen them in a while.
keep us updated. Maybe you can
You
get a
ever
new
watch
little
a
pet.
show on TV called Death in Paradise?
I have not.
No. Okay. It's
No.
on BritBox, I think.
Mhm,
The guy has a pet, like a Geico,
mhm.
Harry,
Mm.
and he's always there. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen with this guy.
I think
That's
that
a
could be.
gecko.
I think that could be like a new look for you.
Geico's
You
the
could just travel
company.
around with like your pet lizard. That might be
My
a
own
fun
Geico.
new, fun new accessory for Otto. I like it. You could bring him to the show. I'm
Just get a
into it.
little leash,
Yeah.
little mini leash. Dan wouldn't mind, I'm
I'm going
sure.
to have to get a very small leash because this is really small.
I love it. Also a great program the town does, we always talk about is like, what do you do with your e-waste? I mean, we're in a time where things are outdated and I have like a collection of, which I'm going to save, I think, it's just like the history of the cell phone, because I refuse to get rid of anything, it really takes you on a journey of, kind of my life. But there's so much and you need to get rid of it properly. So e-waste is no longer accepted at Sunday resident drop-off. It's only disposed of at certain dates. So the next one is going to be Saturday, May 18th, over at 802 West Shore Road in Port Washington. So I really encourage, any of your computers or phones or webcams or cameras or printers, anything like
Drop
that.
off your e-waste and then head over to Asian Fest. You're right there.
Hey, might as well,
and
right? You
it's
can
gonna be a
get a
great
bite to
day.
eat. I like that.
Yeah.
Beck
I'm-
just made a whole day for you.
I'm doing my annual garage cleanup.
Oh,
all
okay. I
right?
like it. One of my
And
favorite
I may
things.
have some stuff for that.
Oh, cool.
But I also realize that I have about 490,000 screws and nails,
Oh God, me too. I know there's so many. I know.
and I don't really need them.
I know.
So how do you dispose of screws and nails?
That's
Construction material. That's a
'Cause
metal.
that's not
So
electronic.
it's metal
I know.
or
So what do
construction
you do with
material.
it?
we always grew
Is that
up, which I don't know
recycling?
if it's, it's very interesting. I put them in water bottles because my husband, like
And
empty
put
them
them in the
water bottle.
garbage?
Yeah, because I don't know if that's the correct way.
Yeah.
But my husband's terrified about it, like getting in our tires, more so than anything else. So I don't know. I'm going to look that up though. I will have the answer at the next show because I'm actually intrigued.
I mean, years ago, you could go to a hardware store
Mhm.
and they had little boxes of all kinds, and you need 3 screws. You
Yeah.
can get 3 screws.
I know.
Now
And
you
now
gotta buy
I know. I get
150
it.
screws in order to get
I
the
get
3
it.
screws. that you
I know.
need.
Well, what I did, and to make things cuter, because we had a bazillion screws, because when we moved in the house, the tool, we had like this built-in like little like tool.
Yeah, I got all
table.
that, but I want to get rid of
Well,
it.
so then I'm like, so I put everything in like a cute little mason jar, but I'm like, what are we doing with all these things? But
You're going to look at them and then
yeah, I'm
20
like,
What do
years
you
from
think
now.
Mildred would do with those?
say
we
what?
should have asked her.
What would Mildred
Yeah.
do? I mean, I'm sure she'd have an answer.
She'd probably have quite the answer for it. But
say,
yes,
"Stop
good question.
screwing
I'm
around."
gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Mark my words, I will look it up. Also, I want to remind people we touched a little about this. in the beginning, is all the programs that are going on in North Hempstead. We mentioned our new puzzle time group, which meets at Homestead in Westbury. It's on Wednesdays from 2 to 3 p.m. They're starting off with puzzles and are going to like dive into like different games and see how this goes. But I heard it was really well attended. The first one was last week.
It was well attended.
Yeah. And of course, we have our wonderful bridge group that offers beginners classes and intermediate classes. That's also on Wednesdays from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Over at the Yes We Can Community Center. We have our social discussion group that meets virtually on Thursdays at 11:30. Of course, our Golden Hearts Bingo and blood pressure screening group. That's on Thursdays over at the Roslyn Community Center.
With the yoga class right
There
before.
you go.
How well attended is that, the bingo?
Really
Good.
great. It's a great
Yeah.
group. Yeah, great
Do
group.
they play for money or is it?
They do not play for money, but there's great
No.
prizes. I
We'll
have
talk
to
off
say.
air about that. But
There's very cute prizes that are given out there. And it's just nice because the group forms a bond and then they get familiar with our social worker and nurse there too. So it's like you're combining all kinds of wellness in this fun group.
Bingo was another one that was big time.
That's
They
right.
did bingo every night of the week. There was bingo.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Bingo doesn't go to the bingo
Talk
is still,
about-
is
yeah.
still quite a hot item in the town of North Hempstead.
and also on all cruise ships. So I wouldn't be surprised
Bingo
if you
on
didn't
cruise
see
ships was
Mildred
good.
playing bingo.
I know Mildred was spouting off a lot of games in her
Yeah.
first hour. We have our men's community group that meets both virtually and in person over at the Hillside Public Library at 10:30 a.m. So if you are a man living in the town North Hempstead, age 60 or over, join out in this group. And it's quite a lively group. I always say they all have very, very different opinions, but they all let each other talk, which is just shocking to see. It's shocking this day and age to see, but it's really a great group. So
Well, because they all have no filter. So it's like right to the point. It goes
yeah,
really quick.
but I have to say,
Listen, go.
we're so used to everyone. If you don't have the same opinion as them, it usually doesn't fly. But this group is quite
They
the
have
gamut.
opinions.
They all have very different opinions, which is very, very interesting. We have our St. Francis cardiac screening van is making its next stop on May 14th. And that will be at the Great Neck Social Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You do not need to make an appointment, which is my favorite part about this program. So you can just pop on, get some screenings, get some really good information.
Do they park in front or in the lot in the back with that?
That one, I believe they park in front.
In the front.
That they have been. I don't know. Sometimes I
Okay.
guess it depends on where like people have parked, but usually it's in the front. And I want to encourage everyone. Next week is the Project Independence May Advisory Committee meeting, May 15th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You could come to Clinton G. Martin Park, or you can come virtually. And we are having a speaker, Deborah McElliott, who is presenting on part of the Spring into Wellness series we're doing, mental health and stress reduction, because May is also mental health awareness.
There's also a very nice little spread with coffee,
Oh, good. It
fruit.
was lovely. Yes, I have to
muffins.
say the April one was lovely, and I think we're gonna do it for May again because it was like a little like yogurt bar.
You could
which was
skip
really
breakfast
cute,
that
yes.
morning.
I was very impressed. Shout out to Community Services for putting together that spread because it was quite the hit last night.
Right,
It was,
right.
it was good.
It was, and you got Otto seal approval. You heard it here.
Mhm.
first.
Otherwise, we're noshing on pound cake for like 3 days.
Yeah, it
straight.
was very nice. But I really encourage people to go. We had such a great meeting last month. I was so well attended. And I really hope, and it's nice to see new faces. We're getting a lot of new people joining, which is really fun. And it's a great place to learn about what's going on in the town, have suggestions, and then there's always a really great speaker. And I'm really looking forward to talking about the mental health and stress reduction because what we learned from our first hour of today's show was how important it is to take care of your mental health as well. So please, if you can't come in person, we'd love to have you in person. Sign up virtually too, because we still have a good amount of people who are coming virtually too, which is nice.
New
And
people.
I actually got a call from someone who was from New York Tech and they work for like a Parkinson's program, which I'm really excited to learn more about. And I'm sure I'm going to book them for the radio show. But they called and said, we'd love to come to the meeting. I said, we'd love to have you, because what's special about advisory committee meetings is we have, of course, our seniors who are the most important part of it. but our elected officials have been popping in, different community leaders and different organizations too. And I love that because we're able to kind of share information there, and then everyone takes the information and brings it to their friends or their groups.
I
So it's a
noticed
great
one of
program.
them is Lakeville Civic Association.
Yeah.
Is getting much more actively engaged
Yeah.
with Project Independence.
And they're huge fans of our show.
Yes, and
They're
they're
very big fans.
and they're pretty big.
Yeah.
You know, they go beyond the village of New Hyde
Mhm.
Park.
I hear from them often, and they're always sharing our radio shows on their own little
Yeah,
social
I
media
see.
pages, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But they're like, it was such a great show. Like, I really like for so it's nice to it's a great, but that's what's special about the advisories is that we're able to get all these people in and make those connections. And it's just a really great group, and the foundation of PI, really, that's where our stuff is.
Excuse me, could I quickly just mention
Yeah.
a little bit about PI transportation,
Yeah,
taxi
yeah,
transportation?
absolutely.
So we do door-to-door
Mhm.
visits to medical appointments, and we do free food shopping. If you live in the town of North Hempstead, we will take you anywhere within the town. You just have to call 311, and the medical trips are just slightly discounted.
Yeah, great. And it's such a wonderful program. And a shout out to you, Beck, and Sherry Baton, who's our mobility manager, who, really are making sure things run smoothly constantly. And it's just such an important program. It's just
great
really
program.
great stuff.
Just call 311.
That's right. Call 311 for any of this stuff.
There you go.
Also next week, Friday, May 17th, the Smart Van, which is our partnership with Family and Children's Association, is taking their senior mobile access to resources and technology to Yes We Can Community Center. So you can go there and just, if you have a question about anything, you can bring your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone, and have one-on-one assistance. So that is May 17th over at Yes We Can. And I have to get this in for Nurse Kelly. There are still spots available for diabetes, what you need to know program. Wednesday, May 26th, it's a 4-session educational series. Danielle Ezzo, who is from St. John's University, will be there. And it's really for people who might be struggling with diabetes
Also,
themselves,
if you're a
if you're a parent.
caregiver
Yeah, well,
to
that's my
someone,
favorite
right.
part about it, is that there's such good information for that. And she's so wonderful. Danielle, we've had her on the show.
Yeah, she's great.
So please mark that down.
And that's it. That's a wrap.
Guys. Wow, what a show.
What a show.
Glad to be back.
Great show. Great guest, Kristina, as always. Thanks for listening to Project Independence and You Talk of the Town. Of course, I'd like to thank Kristina and Otto for another great show. Project Independence and You is a production of Long Island University Public Radio. Dan Cox, of course, is our engineer. Join us again next Friday at 10 a.m. on LIU Public Radio. Goodbye and have a great weekend.